Congratulations, Madam Mayor.
When acting mayor Kim Janey was sworn in, she touted her family's long history in Boston.
I was born into a family with deep roots in the South End and 6 generations in Roxbury.
As she runs for mayor, City Councilor Andrea Campbell is also playing up her Boston roots.
I was born and raised in Boston, in Roxbury in the South End. I went to 5 Boston public schools.
There's a subtext here. The first candidate in the race, City Councilor Michelle Wu, wasn't born and raised in Boston. She came to Massachusetts from suburban Chicago for college, later calling the North End, the South End, and Roslindale home. Before the St. Patrick's Day breakfast, State Senator Nick Collins made that point directly. When Wu released a video for the event, imitating a harried Ben Affleck, Collins jibed, "What else do Affleck and Wu have in common? They both love acting like they're from Boston." So why the focus on this one detail?
We asked about a series of characteristics of the next mayor, and one of the things that was the most important there, or that voters said was the most important, was someone who grew up in Boston.
Steve Kozzela of the Mass Inc. polling group sized up the race last fall when Wu was the only declared candidate. Among black voters, that preference was especially strong. 60% called it very important. But there's a catch.
One of the things that voters often do is they'll kind of triangulate backwards from the candidate they're supporting to the characteristics of that candidate being important. So, if you're a supporter of, say, Joe Biden for president, then decades of government experience is important.
Or maybe, if you liked Marty Walsh, the fact he grew up in Boston was. Still, there is a history here. Other big cities elect mayors who aren't from there. Think New York, Philadelphia, Chicago. The last Boston mayor who wasn't a native was elected in 1925, Malcolm Nichols from Portland, Maine. As for Wu, she says she's heard this stuff before.
I have had the privilege and the honor of representing the entire city for 8 years now. It's not new to be reminded sometimes of the ways in which I might be different from a lot of the typical mold of Boston politicians in many ways.
But Wu also says Boston voters are focused on issues, not origins.
Needs within our school system, how our economy is going, small businesses, families, the day-to-day experiences.
Sometimes, Wu adds, people who choose a place can offer different insights about it. And she says if she wasn't from Boston before, she is now.
I wasn't lucky enough to be born in Boston, but have chosen to make this my home, have had the chance to raise my kids here, to have raised my sisters here as well, as my mom was living with mental illness. And Boston has truly given us everything that we cherish in my family.
More recent history may be on Wu's side. Lately, 2 other Illinois transplants have fared pretty well, and Wu topped the at-large ticket in the last 2 elections in a city where 2/3 of adults aren't from Massachusetts at all. Adam Reilly, GBH News.